Hello, welcome to the Voracious Reader. Today I want to talk about SARK, S-A-R-K, Susan Ariel something Kennedy. I can't believe I can't remember the R. I'm sure it's in here somewhere. I first learned about SARK back in, I think the 90s when she wrote Inspiration Sandwich. And what I loved about that book was it was the first time I had ever seen a book that I don't have Inspiration Sandwich. I couldn't get it from the library. And I pass books along. I don't keep all of them because I would have too many books. I'm just not a keeper. But it looked like this. It was so colorful and it had all these beautiful pictures in it, and it was handwritten. The publishers printed it in her own handwriting, and she's a great artist, and she does all her printing in colors as well. So she went on to write a great number of books, and they're all wonderful. If I could now choose one book, then I could. How do you pick which delicious apple to grab from a tree, right? Like, too hard to choose. So I wanted to talk most about Inspiration Sandwich, but I couldn't find that one from the library. What I did find was Transformation Soup, because you can have your soup and sandwiches. And transformation, creativity, these are all themes that SARK talks about throughout her books, but each book is unique and wonderful, and they take a little different approach. Bodacious, Succulent, Wild Woman was another book of SARK's that focused more on the feminine side of creativity, and Living Juicy was the name of another book. So you can see a theme here. The other one I have in front of me today is called Glad No Matter What, Transforming Loss and Change into Grief and Opportunity. Now, when I put all of SARK's books together like this and do one video on her, that is not at all meant to diminish how each and every one of these books stands alone as well. But I could not do it justice to do all of them in an individual video. I want to talk about SARK as a person because she had a hard life, and it's her story to tell. You can read it if you want to, but suffice it to say that she had to overcome great challenges in issues of safety and trust and dealing with fears, and really all of the things that transformation is made up of and how we transform. And so she has turned herself into not only an amazing artist using the most wonderful colors, she's truly a transformation change agent in her daily life. And I want to share with you a story she tells in Glad No Matter What about a trip to the Department of Motor Vehicles. Isn't that always a fun place to go? I know that I have brought my fair share of negativity into that building, and how many other people have as well. I wonder if buildings have a personality, the DMV is traumatized as a building because we all dump our junk there, and we're not very nice people when we're there. Anyway, I want to share this story with you. So she was at the DMV. On my next visit to the DMV, I heard a woman lamenting about having bought a new car and not having her vehicle identification number and needing to get back to work. I advised her the car dealership could fax it over, and the agent at the DMV agreed. The woman seemed glad, and then joined SARK on the folding chairs, and then sat down and said with resignation, "This is just my luck." SARK says, I felt amazed by her statement and asked her why. She said that she needed to get to work, that these things always happen to her, and that everything is always difficult. So SARK waited till she was done and replied, "Wow, at least 3 people have helped you. And all you can do is complain that this is just your luck. How dare you?" SARK said this to this woman, right? Okay, so the woman, of course, just stared at her and finally said, "Who are you?" And SARK's answer, I told her that I was a transformational change agent, and so was she. That we can all learn to change our habitual negative stories and help others to do the same. So that's a pretty extreme example, but she's living her life as an example of being an inspirational change agent. I got a few other tabs in here I have to share with you. In this one, she also talks about death, grieving, loss, and it's beautiful to take a subject as serious and scary and uncomfortable as death and loss and grieving, and write about it in full color. That's expression. That's beautiful. All right. She writes in here, I don't plan to have a tombstone, but if I did, it would say just one word: upgraded. I love that. That's fantastic. You know, SARK is a great go-to gal when you are creatively blocked. I've done some other videos, the Voracious Reader, on creativity and artists. A great way to move through blocks is to pick up any book by SARK and randomly open the page, and you're bound to be moved because she's just an out-of-the-box, extraordinary, non-ordinary person. She expresses that through her art, and I find it inspiring. She started asking friends if she was repeating stories. This is a good one. And if so, which ones? She says, I questioned myself to see if I still needed those stories. I don't know, another woman that I should really do a book on, or a Voracious Reader series on, is Reenchanting. She does the whole thing on how we are defined by our stories, we trap ourselves by our stories, and who are we without our stories. SARK's getting at this here too, and she even refers to Reenchanting. Anyway, in each case, she decided she no longer needed that story. So now she questions her stories, and she goes underneath them to see what's there. I love the way she describes that, underneath the stories, to see what is there underneath the story. If there are lingering stories that she tells herself as any kind of victim, she takes the story apart until she can be completely neutral with it, with no charge. And if you're too close to it and you can't see, have a trusted friend listen to your story, and they'll be able to pick up where you're just really charged, like emotionally charged over some part of the story that just really gets you. Living this way has resulted in tremendous freedom, she says. It makes the way for new stories and experiences. It takes 100% responsibility for everything that happens. Even if we think it's somebody else's fault, we have 100% responsibility about how we react and what we do, what our response is going to be. Of course, I'm not always successful, and that is why I practice, SARK says. I used to think it was helpful to listen to others' stories endlessly, and I agree with SARK. I used to think that too. To bear witness as long as they needed. Now I speak up and say what I see, sometimes gently, sometimes not. I've actually discovered I kind of have a gift for tracking, where things are being held in a person's stories, or where they're getting hung up or distracted, or kind of almost lying to themselves. And I can just pick up on that and help them to come to see that, sometimes patiently and gently, sometimes right in their face, whatever works, right? Only if they ask, obviously. Then, last but not least, here we go. I love this. This is how I'll wrap it up with SARK. I highly recommend anything by SARK. I wonder if I can get this in the camera. I'll read it in case that didn't show up very good. Lead your creative dreams. Do this by knowing that your creative dreams need you to make them real. Celebrate and share your dreams with the world. You have a creativity unlike anyone else in the entire world. We are like snowflakes. We're all unique. The world needs your creativity, because without you sharing it, we miss out on it. So I invite you to share your creativity. SARK will inspire you. Try something by SARK. Thanks for joining this Voracious Reader, and create a great creative adventure.